So it's long before any international conventions or international law that Pule gave us the accountability and the responsibility to defend those who are in the most need of their rights in even the hardest times. And India has stood at the helm, recognizing and also creating frameworks that are not just the minimum standard for children's rights, but constantly looking at how to ever expand the effort for children's rights and making sure that you're building a society that is a model across India, but also for the globe, to create a place where children can survive safely, but also to thrive and dream their dreams and reach their aspirations. So that's why it is particularly an honor to be here and to welcome all of us as we sit together with those of you who are creating the legal frameworks, and also those of you on the front lines, the first responders, police, judges, prosecutors, the social workers, counselors, our child line functionaries, civil society, families and communities themselves, who are meeting and trying to respond to difficult cases that help children to survive but also rehabilitate and thrive. Let me emphasize the following points as we think about the next 2 days. Foundation. The Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most ratified convention in the world. It is a marker of global cooperation that we are here to protect children's rights and their well-being. And protecting them from violence, protecting them to be safe, is a bedrock, a cornerstone of all their other rights. If a child is safe, then we are able to build on that, their health, their nutrition, their education. And then with that, they can grow resiliently, and so can nations around the world. Second, obligation. When we think about that foundation of rights, it reminds us that a child's rights is not a nice thing to do or a charitable thing. It's our obligation, it's our responsibility. And it's the whole of society that has to do it. It's cross-disciplinary. As we will talk about more and more today, sexual violence is pervasive globally. And it's harmful in many ways and for many reasons, including some deeply entrenched social norms. And so how do we work together to create that social power and change the social dynamics that enable children, and particularly those marginalized children, especially girls, to be able to have those rights? And at the same time, how do we look at the types of barriers that you're looking at every day that helps ensure disclosure and justice for individuals at every level, in every aspect, institutional and societal? I've talked about these prevalence. So what does that mean? As we look at India, some of the figures, if we look at NFHS 5 data from 2019 to 2021, almost 40% of women, 39% of women across India between the ages of 25 and 49 report having had sexual contact before the age of 18. Within that age group, 10% report having had sexual contact before the age of 15. In addition, India, and this state, is not just looking at the present challenges, but we're also looking at upcoming challenges like the internet, which creates opportunities, but it's also creating a global market for child sexual abuse materials and nefarious opportunities. So that is our foundation, obligation, and the third is demonstration. Demonstrating that we can make change. And India has demonstrated how to make change through its strong legal and policy frameworks that protect children from sexual offenses online and offline. And it's commendable what India has done as we look at services that provide to survivors special courts, legal aid, support persons, one-stop centers, and other services that help rehabilitate children. And they build on strong foundations that we see in the Ministry of Women and Child Development through Shakti and Vatsalya missions. This demonstrates India's commitment, but also building these strong foundations and meeting its obligations for children. I'm glad to be here because I've had the opportunity to talk directly about Bharosa Centers by the Telangana Women's Safety Wing, the SHE teams, the Bal Raksha Bhavans of all child protection services coming under one roof, converged in one place, which is what children need. The efforts made in Hyderabad to issue identity certificates, Aadhaar, caste, disability, to all children wherever they are, care institutions, and all of these initiatives that build child protection across the state. My fourth is steadfast action. It's important to demonstrate what we're doing, but at the same time, how do we continue to expand action and the care journey that's necessary for a child so that they have professional restorative help throughout their journey. December 19th has been declared the Day of Prevention of and Healing from Child Sexual Abuse. It calls for 3 actions, and I put them on the table for our discussions in the days ahead. First is strong legislation that meet global standards, that can be a model and can be steadfast. India, I'm happy to note, and as I've said, has done so. Second is a call for strong child protection systems with adequate resources. And we're seeing that as we look at Mission Vatsalya and Shakti. December 19th also calls for supplementing that from states. And we're seeing that here in this state. How do you make sure you complement from all levels those strong child systems? And 3, December 19th calls for attention to working with communities. And here I would say it's worth our extra attention. We have to be where children live, learn, and play in order to protect them. Because in order to really make a change, we want to change some of the societal norms. And the greatest part of justice is prevention in the first place. So strengthening those investments in working with communities, working at the sub-district level that allows children to be seen when they're at risk, early detection, investing in things like teaching children about safety, creating child-friendly spaces that allows them to speak up about violence they may be experiencing. And all this helps to break silence and the stigma. Closer to communities also means it's easier to talk with adolescents who are often at a crossroads, and being able to talk to adolescents, giving them education that gives them agency, as well as the ability to make informed decisions. Comprehensive reproductive health can help bridge those gaps. And India is making great strides as it's working through the Government of India's School of Health and Wellness program under Ayushman Bharat. These are very important practical interventions that make a difference. And I commend the Women in Safety Wing of the Telangana Police, which is taking these actions in similar strides. My 5th is partnership. UNICEF is very happy to be here, looking and working with partners like all of you. UNICEF works with government at the national level and at the state level in order to engage stakeholders, in order to help build capacity of workforce, those on the front lines, in order to help build systems that rehabilitate survivors and genuinely bring technical support that can help create child-friendly procedures, child-friendly spaces, and engage communities. So with that, I'd like to just reiterate the 5 points that I hope we build on here, and that UNICEF is committed to not just rattling off and saying we do these things, but how do we expand them even further and bring the lessons that the state is proving here across India, but also how does UNICEF take that globally and help protect children around the world. So building the dreams into reality. The foundation, our obligations to meet that, demonstration, steadfast action, and genuine partnership together. And I think Dr. Ambedkar, he summed it up best when he said it is not enough to dream of a better world, one must work tirelessly to make it a reality. So thank you to all of you who work tirelessly to make it a reality.
Thank you, Madam, for the warm welcome address. May I now request Sri Dr. Jitender, IPS, DGP Telangana, to address the participants. Sir, please.
Honorable guests for today's conference for ensuring justice, rehabilitation and reintegration for child victims, strengthening POCSO and child protection ecosystems. Honorable Justice Shri Surya Kanji, Judge Supreme Court of India and Executive Chairman, National Legal Services Authority. Honorable Shri A. Revant Reddy Garu, Chief Minister of Telangana State. Honorable Justice Sujoy Paul, Acting Chief Justice, High Court of State of Telangana and Patron and Chief, Telangana State Legal Services Authority. Cynthia McFerray, representative of UNICEF in India. All the Honorable Justices of Telangana High Court, members of Judiciary, esteemed dignitaries, police and other government officials, civil rights experts, representatives of civil society and development partners, especially Ms. Charu Sinha, Chief of Women's Safety of Telangana Police, and Ms. Anita, Secretary for Women and Child Welfare Department, and all boys and girls, good morning. It is a privilege to be part of national platform that brings together key stakeholders committed to child protection and justice delivery under POCSO Act, Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act. At the outset, I extend my warm greetings to all the participants and commend the efforts of Judiciary, Women's Safety Wing of Telangana, Women and Child Welfare of Government of Telangana in organizing this critical and timely conference. POCSO Act and the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act are most significant legislations in this country towards child safety and dignity. Yet more than a decade after this enactment, we still face real challenges on the ground. Some challenges are like delays in trials, high rates of witness withdrawal, inadequate convergence between the systems, and most importantly, the risk of re-traumatizing the child while seeking justice. Conference rightly places its focus on rehabilitation and reintegration, not as secondary aspects but as central pillars of the justice process. In Telangana, we have tried to respond to these gaps through a unique systemic innovation that Bharosa Centers. It was established in Telangana and now it is scaled to 29 operational centers as one-stop crisis response and integrated support system for survivors of rape and child sex abuse. It brings together police, legal, medical and psychological services under one roof, away from police stations and hospitals as is evidently required by the POCSO Act. Every center has a dedicated child-friendly counseling room with age-appropriate material toys, visual tools and calm spaces to reduce fear and anxiety among the victims. Child psychologists and counselors trained in child-specific communication methods as well as medical and paramedical support persons provide key roles during this BNSS statement, medical examinations and helping investigating officers elicit trauma-informed disclosures. Dedicated support persons and legal support staff ensure that child and family are not left to navigate the justice system alone. An enabling ecosystem for POCSO should not be an isolated initiative. It is just enabler for the justice. We now operate one of the country's most advanced child-friendly courtrooms, facilitated through Hyderabad Bharosa Center, where children can depose without entering into so-called intimidating courtrooms environment. Does not have to confront the accused and feel free as well as confident. This is being scaled across all the districts in the state of Telangana. Convergence between Bharosa and juvenile justice system, including CWCs, DCPWs, JJBs and the courts, should grow further to become a comprehensive model for inter-agency collaboration. We have built strong referral system, fast-tracked it, medico-legal processes, and ensured timely access to victim compensation, as well as established an emergency victim assistance fraud. Despite its progressive framework, the juvenile justice system continues to face some challenges. The convergence between juvenile justice boards, CWCs, police and support services often lacks consistency and structure. Delays in rehabilitation planning, weak legal aid, and inconsistent application of child-friendly procedures contribute to gaps in justice delivery process. Additionally, limited access to psychological counseling and slow victim compensation processes hinder full reintegration of child into the society. Observation and children home often are regarded as operating under suboptimal conditions, poor hygiene, lack of medical personnel, inadequate security, and limited educational or vocational support. Many homes lack trained staff and structured rehabilitation pathways, leading to emotional disengagement and increased risk of absconding. Weak admission documentation and monitoring systems further compromise child safety and traceability. To strengthen synergy between POCSO framework and juvenile justice system, joint operating procedures and streamlined referral mechanisms must be institutionalized. Cross-departmental trainings involving CWCs, JJBs, police and child welfare staff are essential. Dedicated rehabilitation tracking should ensure continuity of care, rescue to long-term integration. Infrastructure and HR upgradation in CWCs and JJBs, along with monitoring indicators for timeless and child sensitivity, are critical. Confidential data sharing and prioritizing children's voices and trauma recovery reaffirm that justice includes hearing and dignity, not the conviction. Let the conference be a platform not just for deliberation but for commitment. Let us together reaffirm that justice for children is not just about conviction rates but about restoration, safety and healing. State of Telangana, under the leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, is committed to strengthening the Bharosa model further and sharing our learnings to contribute to national and state frameworks. We welcome collaboration, innovation and shared vision for all present here. Let us all be together and take care of life and dignity of all people who deserve it. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your special address on this inaugural session. I now request Honorable Mr. Justice Sujaypal Garu, Acting Chief Justice, High Court for the State of Telangana and Patron-in-Chief, Telangana State Legal Service Authority, to kindly illuminate us with your Honor's special address.
Honorable Shri Justice Suryakant Ji, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and Executive Chairman, National Legal Services Authority, New Delhi, Honorable Chief Minister Shri A. Revant Reddy, my esteemed colleagues present in the auditorium, the Learned Advocate General, Learned Additional Advocate General, the Shri Jitender, IPS Director General of Police, Telangana State, Miss Cynthia McFrey, Representative of UNICEF, Ms. Charu Sinha, IPS, Srimati Anita Ramchandran, IAS, Secretary, Women Development and Child Welfare Department, Shri Panchakshri, Member Secretary, the resource persons, the stakeholders from different departments. Very good morning and welcome to all of you to this very important meet today, where we would like to discuss frankly about the issues before us so that we can come to a conclusion. But before coming to that, I would like your attention on the very, very relevant data which will show us the picture regarding POCSO matters. In December 20, the pending cases in Telangana regarding POCSO were 5267. In December 21, it became 6828. In December 22, it became 10,589. Comparing from December 20, when it was 5267, in December 22, within 2 years, it became almost double, 10,589. In January 23, it was 10,605, and at present data is available up to October 24, where the figure was 8308. This alarming increase is only one aspect of which causes worry. The another aspect and the another data which is more alarming, which is more dangerous, is that 98% accused are either family members, relatives, friends or neighbors. And therefore, in such a situation, a child victim who is subjected to sexual abuse, it is very difficult to withstand the social pressure, and in most of the cases our experience is that that victim turns hostile because of the family and social pressure. In that event, what is very important to record conviction and stop this is the scientific evidence, the other circumstantial evidence. And therefore, the idea to bring everybody under one roof, that every stakeholder, the education, the police, the health department, the R&B, everybody who is taking care, who is the stakeholder, should be under one roof so that we can identify the issues and solve the problems. I'll give a very small example, that when a child enters a school, her or his name is registered in admission register, we sometimes called as Dakhil Kharij register. A small overwriting in date of birth in that school register can give benefit to the accused if at later point of time that child is subjected to any sexual abuse. Likewise, as I said, that scientific evidence in cases of POCSO are very important. Now the government of India has come up with a complete protocol of DNA, how to procure a sample, how to keep a sample, in which temperature it is to be kept, what is the shelf life, what is to be taken care of. And there is a judgment of Supreme Court on that, if I correctly remember, authored by Honorable Justice Bela Trivedi. The entire chain, the time from where the sample was taken and how it travels to the FSL, and then how the report is prepared, this entire chain needs to be established meticulously. And even one break of chain anywhere ultimately gives benefit to the accused. A checklist can be prepared so that all these possibilities can be eradicated. These are very sensitive issues, because ultimately victim is a person about which the organizers have rightly given the name, that it is a conference for giving voice for the voiceless. So what my understanding is that in all these technical sessions where the experts and resource persons will address you, please feel free to tell you about your problems in your department which you are facing, and please interact with the resource persons, please interact with the other departments. I'll give a small example of a similar conference in my parent state. A young lady constable stood up in a session and she said that when we take the victim, the child with their parents after the sexual abuse to the hospital, we are required to wait for 5 hours, sometimes for 6 hours, because the doctor is busy elsewhere. And it is such a traumatic thing for that small child and their family members that sometimes the family members withdraw their consent for the medical checkup. We discussed it in the conference, and the head of the medical department stood up and he said that from Monday itself, we will prepare a roster where in every hospital, a dedicated doctor will be there, whose first responsibility will be to take care of and attend that child. So these are small things, but this makes a difference how we treat the child, how we give her an atmosphere, and how sensitive we are. And therefore, I'll request all of you that when a file comes before you as a judge, or file comes before you in a FIR before a police station, or a file comes as a doctor before you, please remember that the word file and life has same letters, L-I-F-E and F-I-L-E. And every file has a life within it. And therefore, this session was rightly called as Voice for Voiceless. I'll end with the request that everybody should deal this matter, these aspects, with utmost sensitivity. A poet said, अपना गम लेकर कहीं और न जाया जाए, अपना गम लेकर कहीं और न जाया जाए, घर में बिखरी हुई चीजों को सजाया जाए, घर से मस्जिद है बहुत दूर चलो यूं कर लें, घर से मस्जिद है बहुत दूर चलो यूं कर लें, किसी रोते हुए बच्चे को हंसाया जाए. Take your sorrow somewhere and don't let it be seen. Let's arrange these scattered things in the house. The place of worship is far from home. Let's take a walk. Let's make a crying child laugh. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my lord, for the inspiring and thought-provoking special address on this occasion. May I now request Honorable Sri A. Revant Reddy Garu, the Chief Minister of Telangana State, to deliver special address. Sir, please.
Honorable Sri Justice Suryakant, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and Executive Chairman, National Legal Services Authority, Honorable Sri Justice Sujay Paul, Acting Chief Justice, High Court of State of Telangana, and Patron-in-Chief, State Legal Services Authority. Respected members of Judiciary, senior police officers, women and child department officials, legal services experts, UNICEF, civil society and development partners. I welcome you to this state level conference. The theme, Voice for the Voiceless, is very important for our society. I congratulate the Telangana Police and other organizers for holding this conference. We must put child survivors at the center of our legal and moral framework in fighting this heinous crime against humanity. We have to protect our children from sexual abuse at any cost and with all means. My government gives top priority to the protection of children and women. Telangana Bharosa project has 29 centers. It provides police support, legal aid, medical assistance, and counseling in a friendly environment. Telangana pioneered child-friendly courts run by Hyderabad Bharosa Center. The goal is not just faster cases disposal, but total child protection and development. POCSO Act and Juvenile Justice Act are highly progressive instruments in our legal framework, but they come with problems. We must ensure procedure help child victims, not hurt them. We must also end child pornography and impose strict punishments. Social media abuse of children must also be treated without mercy for culprits. Our state government is fully ready to take all steps. We must ensure justice and compassion for children not only in courts but also at police stations, child centers, and in every step of this process. I appeal to all of you, respected judges, police officers, CWCs, development partners, let us move forward with a shared mission. Justice is not just about conviction. It is about restoration, about dignity, and reclaiming childhood. Thank you. Jai Telangana.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable message and the steps being taken by the Telangana state government. It is time to hear our today's chief guest, Honorable Sri Justice Suryakant, Judge, Supreme Court of India. My Lord, please.
Shri A. Revant Reddy, Honorable Chief Minister, State of Telangana, Justice Sujay Paul, Honorable Chief Justice in Action, High Court of State of Telangana, and Patron-in-Chief of the Telangana State Legal Service Authority, Justice Shyam Koshi, Executive Chairman of the State Legal Service Authority, Telangana, my distinguished sister and brother judges of the Telangana High Court, Dr. Jitendra IPS, Director General of Police State of Telangana, Ms. Cynthia McFrey, representative of the UNICEF India Chapter, Learned Advocate General of State of Telangana, Member Secretary Mr. Bharat Parashar of the National Legal Service Authority, Member Secretary of the State Legal Service Authority, and other my dear judicial officers, very senior officers of the police department, senior administrative functionaries of the state government who are present here. We also have among us Mr. Santhan Krishnan, Live President of the Commonwealth Lawyers Association, distinguished dignitaries, jurists, statesmen, police officers, social workers, ladies and gentlemen, friends from media. When Honorable Chief Justice cited a very emotional nazm of Nida Fazli, I immediately recollected Maria Montessori, a very celebrated pedagogue, and what she said about child. I quote her: "It is the child who makes the man, and no man exists who was not made by the child he once was." I think this statement communicates everything with respect to a very serious issue which we intend to deliberate in this one-day conference. These words of Montessori also remind me that the well-being of our children is not merely a moral obligation, it is the foundation upon which all of society is built. The child is not just our future, they are our mirror, our responsibility, and our greatest test. Today, as I stand before you, I cannot help but echo the statement of Montessori, because I am of the firm view that if we fail our children, we are not only failing them, we are failing the very soul of our nation. I therefore wish to applaud the distinguished speakers who have preceded me. Their remarks have incisively addressed many of the urgent and layers challenges in the realm of child protection. I find myself in strong agreement with the issues that Cynthia has raised, or Honorable Chief Justice and Honorable Chief Minister have raised. I see it as both a duty and a privilege to build upon those reflections by offering a perspective grounded in constitutional values, judicial insight, and our shared moral responsibility to the children of this great nation. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere appreciation for the untiring efforts of the Women's Safety Wing of the Telangana State Police and the Telangana State Legal Service Authority in organizing this event with exceptional commitment and vigor. I also commend the United Nations Children's Fund, Madam Cynthia representing, whose pioneering work in uplifting child across the globe is undoubtedly unparalleled. This conference, I believe, is a concerted attempt to confront the silent suffering of the most vulnerable among us, our children. Even today they remain most susceptible to neglect, abuse and exploitation. And in a country like ours, where their numbers are staggering, the stakes are even higher. I rely upon the UNICEF 2024 report, according to which 24% of the India's population is under the age of 14. 1 in 3 Indians is below the age of 18. This amounts to over 345 million children, more than the total population of many continents. These figures, while astonishing, are not merely statistical marvels, they are a moral reckoning. For a nation so young, our greatest asset could also too easily become our gravest liability if we fail to protect, nurture and invest in our children. Potential does not convert to progress on its own. It requires systems, safety and sustained care. Each child we fail is not just a personal tragedy, but a lost thread in the fabric of our nation's future. This demographic reality places upon us an extraordinary responsibility, one that cannot be met with token gestures or fragmented responses. Every act of abuse, every moment of neglect must be seen not as an aberration, but as a collective failure. If we neglect our children, we forfeit the very future we hope to build. We must consequently confront what we are often too afraid to name, the child sex abuse. Make no mistake, this crime does not occur only in dark alleyways or distant corners. As Honorable Chief Justice rightly pointed out, it happens within homes, schools, neighborhoods and institutions. Places we instinctively consider safe, it is a violation that hides in plain sight. And it is not only a criminal act, it's a betrayal of trust, of childhood, and of the constitutional promise to protect our most vulnerable. It makes a grave failure of our collective guardianship, and if I can say, it's also a failure of the state's parents' patria responsibility. What makes this abuse especially heinous is that its harm runs far deeper than physical injury. Its wounds are often invisible but lifelong. Fractured self-worth, chronic anxiety, depression, PTSD, and tragically, you must have seen sometimes even suicide also. But the long-term damage goes even further. Research increasingly shows that children who suffer such trauma are more likely to become withdrawn, economically marginalized, or emotionally unstable adults. Worse still, there is the risk that some may perpetuate the very cycles of abuse that once endured. These are the outcomes no enlightened society can afford to ignore, and therefore we need to be over-conscious about it. The law is enacted, of course. We have the 2012 Act, which is a very robust legislation. It brought a long overdue legal overhaul which is gender neutral, comprehensive, and child sensitive. It recognized perhaps for the first time that the justice system must be adapted to the child, not the other way around. But a law is not only as strong as its implementation. Special courts remain unevenly distributed. Police forces are often undertrained in trauma-informed investigation. Schools rarely speak about consent, autonomy, or safety. And even in judiciary too, we are insufficiently sensitized to the unique vulnerabilities of the child victims. In light of these realities, the path forward must be carefully and compassionately charted. There is where the agenda of this conference becomes so vital. As a lifelong student of law, I have experienced firsthand how even well-meaning systems often place disproportionate emphasis on punishing the perpetrator, while the child, whose life has been irreversibly altered, is left unheard, unsupported, and often re-traumatized by the very mechanisms meant to help. Justice becomes synonymous with conviction instead of recovery. If some of you will recollect, in 2014 onwards, I have been speaking about invisible victims of system, and that is what precisely I meant to say. Consider the case of a 10-year-old made to recount her trauma repeatedly. Before whom? To a teacher, a police officer, a medical examiner, a lawyer, and then a judge. With each retelling, her voice grows fainter until it vanishes altogether. This cannot be called justice. It is distress compounded by process. When the system forgets the child in its pursuit of the accused, it fails them both. This imbalance is not incidental, it is structural. That is why the focus on rehabilitation at this conference is both timely and necessary. Our child protection framework, though well-intentioned, remain disjointed and under-equipped. What we need is a fundamental shift, one that sees the child not as a passive witness in a criminal trial, but as a person in urgent need of sustained and holistic care. True justice for a child begins not in the courtroom, but in the moment they feel safe and secured within and outside the four walls. It begins in the hands of a counselor, the embrace of a caregiver, and the assurance that they will not have to walk alone. Reintegration must not be an afterthought. It must be the foundation of our response. Because a child's healing is not just a legal requirement, it's a moral obligation. And in this context, and knowing the Indian, our societal background, it is a constitutional commitment also. As we look to the path ahead, one truth becomes abundantly clear. The task of protecting and supporting child victims is far too important to be left to the legal system alone. Not only is it a responsibility of the judiciary, police, or social workers, it is in fact a collective national duty. Every institution, every stakeholder, and indeed every citizen has a role to play in creating an ecosystem where children are safe, heard, and helped. We must move away from reactive justice to a more proactive, compassionate model where rehabilitation is not a footnote but the foundation. In this regard, I would be remiss not to acknowledge and commend the pioneers' efforts initiated in the state of Telangana and particularly in the city of Hyderabad. As the Director General of Police explained, the Bharosa centers here have really emerged as a model of what integrated, victim-centric support should look like. By offering a one-stop facility where child and women victims of violence can access police assistance, legal aid, medical care, and psychological counseling under one roof, These sentences exemplify what sensitive and holistic justice delivery should aspire to be. They demonstrate that with the right vision and commitment, it is possible to ease the child's journey through the justice system, minimizing the pain and agony and maximizing the care. Similar appreciation is due to the NALSA's novel child-friendly legal service scheme of 2024, which envisions a trauma-informed, child rights-driven ecosystem. It is not only ensures courtroom dignity but the provision of psychological care and compensation to the victim. It is my earnest appeal that such best practices be assimilated and adapted across the length and breadth of the country. Whether it is the level of the state policy, institutional design, or community intervention, we must commit to replicating and scaling such models. Let us therefore take inspiration from what has worked and build upon it, ensuring that no child anywhere in India is left to navigate trauma alone. In doing so, we not only uphold the letter of the law, but the spirit of our Constitution, which promises every child the right to dignity, safety, and opportunity. I would like to conclude at this juncture by briefly alluding to the words of a stalwart of human rights, Nelson Mandela, who once rightly said, and I quote, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children." Ladies and gentlemen, our work is far from complete until our children experience meaningful, restorative justice, where the systems meant to protect them do not re-traumatize, and where their healing is prioritized outside along with accountability. This conference has brought together a range of voices, legal minds, administrators, caregivers, jurists, and protectors, united by a common purpose. But beyond the deliberations and draft recommendations, that's my humble submission, we must take back with us a renewed sense of moral urgency. Laws, however well written, are only as effective as the compassion with which they are implemented. Systems, however well structured, are only as just as the people who operate them. Strengthening the POCSO framework and child protection ecosystems will require vigilance, innovation, and above all, empathy at every level. Let this conference, therefore, mark a turning point not only in the policy but in a national consciousness. Let us vow that no child will be made to feel that their pain is a footnote or that their dignity is conditional. Let us make our nation not merely compliant with law but radiant with justice, for it is in the safety of our children that the soul of our republic truly lives. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, my Lord, for enlightening us on different aspects and need for the POCSO Act and enriching us with words of wisdom, which I am assured that they will guide us in the days to come. Indeed, it is a distinct honor and a privilege to have amongst us Honorable the Judge, Supreme Court of India, and the Executive Chairman, National Legal Service Authority, whose august presence has illuminated today's consultation meet on the topic of voice for the voiceless and rights and protection of children of sexual abuse. We would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude by felicitating the dignitaries on the dais for their generosity and kindness in gracing this occasion. For this, I humbly request Honorable Sri Justice Sujay Pal, Acting Chief Justice High Court for the State of Telangana and Patron-in-Chief Telangana State Legal Service Authority, to kindly honor His Lordship Honorable Mr. Justice Suryakant, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and Executive Chairman, National Legal Service Authority, with a shawl and a memento. Thank you, my lord, for accepting the felicitation. Now, I humbly request Honorable Sri Justice P. Samkoshi, Judge, High Court for the State of Telangana and Executive Chairman, Telangana State Legal Services Authority, to kindly honor our Honorable Sri A. Revanth Reddy Garu, Chief Minister, Telangana State, with a shawl and a memento. May I now humbly request Honorable Srimati Justice Maushmi Bhattacharya Madam, Judge, High Court for the State of Telangana, to kindly honor our Honorable Sri Justice Sujaypal Garu, Acting Chief Justice, High Court for the State of Telangana, with a shawl and memento. Thank you, my lord. Now I humbly request Ms. Charu Sinha, Additional DGP, CID, Women Safety Wing, Hyderabad, to kindly felicitate Sri Dr. Jitendra IPS, DGP Telangana, with a shawl and memento. Now I humbly request Sri Dr. Zelalam B. Tafassi to kindly honor Madam Cynthia McCaffrey, representative of UNICEF India, with a shawl and memento. Thank you, Madam. With this, we have arrived towards the end of the inaugural session, and before winding up, I would like to request Srimati Srijana, Women Development and Child Welfare, Telangana State, to kindly propose vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Namaskar to every dignitary, guest and participant gathered here. Today, we stand united by a cause that transcends profession, politics and power, protecting the innocence of our children and giving them a safe childhood. On behalf of the Telangana State Legal Services Authority, Women's Safety Wing, Department of Women Child Development and UNICEF, I express our deepest gratitude to Honorable Justice Suryakant Garu, whose presence reaffirms that the highest court of our land remains a steadfast guardian of child rights. We are inspired by the commitment of Honorable Chief Minister Revanth Reddy Garu and the Honorable Acting Chief Justice of Telangana, Sri Sujaypal Garu. Their leadership sends a strong message that justice for our children is not optional. It is urgent and non-negotiable. To DGP, Dr. Jitendra sir and Ms. Cynthia McCaffrey, we are grateful for your voice and your action. Your work reminds us that systems are strengthened when hearts lead the way. To the judges, officials and partners, activists, thank you. You are the architects of change and the silent warriors who protect those who cannot speak. As we step into the technical sessions, may our collective voices echo louder than the silence.
So the kind of mental trauma these children go through, it is quite easy for us to book a case and take up investigation and probably initiate legal action against the person. What about the mental trauma the child goes through, the girl goes through? And sometimes when parents come to know about these issues, the girl child is not allowed to continue the education. So we are actually looking at a bigger social issue. Sextortion, this just does not stop with children. Today this issue is quite widespread. I have received complaints from even, educated people, a lot of senior officers, many acclaimed professionals in the society, that, you are busy. We are always busy. You have the phone in the hand, and sometimes you get a call. Sometimes it's a video call. Without realizing that it's a video call, you're just taking the call. You're attending the call. And on the other side of the window, there is a woman, absolutely without clothes, right? And the screenshot is taken, and that screenshot is used for blackmailing. And a lot of such cases are happening irrespective of the widespread awareness programs which are taken up by the police. Phishing, it's very, very common, not exactly a sexual offense, but it is quite common. A lot of people have lost a lot of money, and especially children, because these days, parents started giving pocket money to children as young as like 10, 11, 12. And they are also subjected, they are also vulnerable to these kind of scams. Where, somebody, I was just leaving home after lunch for this session. It's quite funny because today I was supposed to talk about cybercrime. When I just started, I was repeatedly getting a call because we were working on multiple issues. Without realizing, I just took the call, and the person said, there's a courier that came for you from the bank. I'm going to SMS one number to you. Please call that number and talk to that boy. I said, okay. I mean, I didn't understand, I didn't realize that it's a scam call. And then the person called me like 5 times. Then I had suspicion, and then I sent the number to my, cybercrime team, to Sub-Inspector Harish, and he checked, and then the person was trying to hack into my WhatsApp. And, for 2 minutes I was a little like, imagine if your WhatsApp is hacked. It's very, you can reverse the whole thing, but it's a hardship that one has to go through. So you have to be very, very careful. We feel that, with smartphone, life has become easy. Actually, it has not. And it's our responsibility to teach the children as well. Cyber defamation. A boy and girl, they meet, they fall in love, they are in a relationship, they break up, and then the whole dirty linen is washed in the social media platforms. Pictures are being posted, privacy is compromised, and a lot of abusive language being used against the children. Especially from, we have encountered so many such cases in schools in Hyderabad, where the parents come and show us screenshots about this abusive language which is being targeted, against these children. CSAM. I'm going to talk in detail about this after the presentation is over. But ma'am also is taking a lot of, initiative in terms of creating awareness about this issue. As on date in India, child sexual abuse material is one of the most important challenges being faced by us, right? One, because of lack of awareness among a lot of us. And two, we don't have the right kind of resources and the adequate manpower to handle this issue. Earlier we used to use this terminology child pornography, but later on there was an amendment done to the act, and now we say child sexual abuse material. So NECMEC, in collaboration with the NCRB, is taking up a lot of awareness activities. I foresee the coordination center at the center, Cybercrime Coordination Center. They also run a lot of courses, they run public awareness initiatives online, they try to reach out to different sections of the society, but it's like a small grain in the sand. So there's a lot to be done in this area as well. So what is the MO used by these, cybercrime offenders? Trust building, just like how it happens in the physical space. A lot of these children don't have the social abilities to form relationships in the physical space. If you look at today's kids, earlier, a kid would have like 5 to 6 friends. And today also they have 5 to 6 friends, but they are not like, meeting in person. It's all online. It's all on chats. It's all like snaps. It's all on like sharing Instagram reels. How does a Gen Z, communicates with other kid? With the peers, they're all sharing reels. And whose reel is it? How exposed they are, how vulnerable they are in this space, they are not aware about all these things. Social engineering is when a potential victim is under the control of the perpetrator, this whole brainwashing that happens. And eventually the victim is subjected to all kinds of, abuse online. And then if the person tries to establish a communication with the victim, then, it leads to a bigger crime. Platform exploitation. These days, most of the kids are heavily into video games. And most of the video games have this option of in-app or the in-games, chat box. So that is also used sometimes for anonymity. These perpetrators are opting for these, in-game chat box, rather than the regular social media, chats. Grooming, there is a pattern to it. First they establish contact, then they just normalize this communication contact, and then the victim is slowly isolated, because the victim is like heavily onto the person who is actually grooming, and she or he stops interacting with the rest of the family members or the friends. Then the actual exploitation happens, and by the time the issue or the crime happens, it's too late. Low self-esteem, we will talk, because of lack of time I'm not going into the PTSD issues of it, but very quickly you can take a look. What is the impact these crimes have on these young, on these young children? There's a psychological trauma, they are socially isolated, and obviously there is a severe decline in their academic performance, and most of them start self-harming. And these days it's really difficult to say anything to the children, right? 10th class mein marks kam aaye, parents are scolding the kid, and the kid goes and commits suicide, right? It's very fragile. In fact, our boss ADG Charu ma'am has conducted a lot of training sessions in this regard for the police officers about how to look at this aspect, which is actually overlooked in the due course of our work. Then obviously there is long-term consequences. We are talking about a future generation. If this generation is lost, obviously the future is lost. And quickly about the initiatives that we do at Women's Safety Wing. She Cyber Lab, it's a matter of pride for us. Started as a very small group of team. It is handled by Sub-Inspector Harish, very talented young constables such as Arun, and couple of others. And they do an amazing work. It is a preventive initiative that we have started in the Women's Safety Wing. Using the open source investigation tools, these young police officers, they train themselves first, they educate themselves first, and they do something called the cyber patrolling in the suspicious platforms and also in the dark web. So whenever we come across profiles or activities, so especially from repeat offenders, their profiling is done, and we generate something called an intelligence report. And then the ADG Women's Safety Wing addresses a letter to the chiefs of the police force in all the states where the presence of the accused is established. And so far we have generated 64 such intelligence reports. This year we have addressed letters to the DGPs of like 14 states, and very recently there was a very interesting case also. I will go into the case studies also. So this is like it's a preventive policing activity that we've been doing. Cyber Congress, this was our very first campaign where we trained all the students about cyber safety, followed by Her campaign, where the cyber safety campaign focused a lot on girl children. We covered almost 3.75 lakh students since 2021. It was implemented in 3 phases with an amazing support from WCD department and also Department of Education in state of Telangana. Cyber Ambassador program, which is currently ongoing, we wanted to look at the target group studying in government institutions, especially in hostels, the welfare residential schools, and we covered almost 7,350 students and almost 4,000 teachers, and 2,000 government schools were covered, and we imparted extremely professionally made content were made available to this target group, and digital safety education was imparted to them. And as you all know, in 2024, Telangana was the first state to have an exclusive bureau for cyber security. And our awareness programs, we continue to do them. Few case studies for you to understand like what kind of cases are reported. WhatsApp calls, 2 minutes on one. WhatsApp calls scam alert. This was exactly what I just faced in the afternoon. So somebody will call and they will say that I'm going to send you a number. Please call that number, and then a courier is awaiting you or a parcel is awaiting you. So in this, if you look at this number, there is asterisk 401 asterisk, right? This is actually a call forward option given by Airtel, the internet service provider. So somebody calls this victim and they say that we are sending a number, please add this prefix and call that number. The person gets access to the WhatsApp, hacks into it, and uses this WhatsApp number to register to commit crime, and also has access into all the private messages of the victim. And the next case is about this is the Telegram big bust that I was talking about. So She Cyber Lab, which is actually doing the cyber patrolling, came across the profile of a suspicious person who was actually handling a huge volume of child sexual abuse material. So we did a lot of investigation. Back-end investigation was done. Based on the investigative findings, we generated the intelligence report, and it was sent to DGP West Bengal. And there was a very prompt and quick response from West Bengal police, and the person was arrested. When he was arrested, he had just one device, and by then he had almost like 1,000 different child sexual abuse material. How does he get so many pictures of these young boys and girls? It's all from the open social media platforms. So when your kid is posting her picture or his picture, it is just available for everybody to see. Instagram harassment, this is again a very interesting case where a father approached, and they said that my girl's Instagram account was hacked and they are just posting very abusive content. So our team started the investigation, and eventually we found out that the whole thing was stage managed by the victim herself, so that she can post the story online and gain more followers. So the children are actually living in this this fake virtual world. They are totally cut off from the realities of the world. So in order to, she even went to the extent of dragging the whole family to the police station, and she started writing graffiti on the walls of the bathroom. She started posting all these abusive content herself, just to create that sensationalism, so that she will have more followers when there is a new account. SMS bombing case, again this is a case where your number must be used by an accused to commit cybercrime elsewhere, and you wouldn't even come to know about it till the time somebody goes and reports. So this was a case where a girl reported about receiving warning messages, and we started investigation. And when we traced the person, this was a Marathi speaking person sitting in Maharashtra, and he had absolutely no idea that his number was being used. His cousin uses his number, hacks into this number, uses this number to register himself on almost 36 social media platforms, and creates a way into WhatsApp, hacks WhatsApp, and starts committing crime. So that is why whenever you use an app, please start using the two-factor verification in your phones. So these are some of the technical, the digital defenses that the children can be taught by the parents. Most important, parental controls. Almost every platform offers this. The network level filters are already inbuilt, and every time a device is given to the child, parent has to ensure that parental controls are activated. Privacy settings, obviously, you should teach children, how to set up the private mode in all these apps, and virtual private networks. VPN is legally allowed in India now, so we can teach children to have VPN enabled devices. Last but not the least, very important, how to report. Most of the time, these people go scot-free because we don't report. We feel that, acha theek hai, this is something small. Why go to the trouble of reporting and, doing rounds in the police station? We just simply don't report. Because of that, internet is becoming a breeding ground for all these perpetrators against the children. So these are the different ways we can report the crimes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Rima Rajeshwari, for actually educating us on all the words, the terminology, which most of us may have been aware of, but what exactly it is and how it is relevant for our daily lives, we needed to know. And before I hand over the mic to Sri P. Ashok, who will give us a comprehensive overview of the 3 acts, 3 legislations, I just want to add one line that, we tend to see children as victims. But now the time has come, or maybe for some time now, children are also consumers. Children are also consumers of this kind of content on social media, in the dark web. And I remember, when we were children and when our parents gave us some money, whether it was 10 rupees, 20 rupees, our first thing was to go and buy a chocolate or something to eat. And now I read a survey somewhere, maybe last year, that now if a child, and particularly you'll be shocked to know in the rural areas and in the semi-rural areas, semi-urban areas, if they get 50 rupees or even 30 rupees, they will go to their local pan shop and they will give that money and they will watch pornography for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on how much money they have at their disposal. So can you see, our entire notion of entertainment, our entire notion of pleasure has changed over the years. It's now no longer restricted to a chocolate or something, or a mithai or a samosa, but it's to watch pornography on the web. So children as consumers is something we really need to worry about. And thank you, Ms. Rajeshwari. We are all so engaged with our WhatsApp accounts, whether calls, whether images, whether videos. So next time you get a call from an unknown number and you get repeated calls or you get a video call, we know what to do. So thank you for that. And over to you, Ms. Sri P. Ashok. Thank you.
ఇది కాదు నో నాట్ దిస్ రిపీట్ ఇది కాదు రిపీట్ చేయాలి నాట్ చేయాలి అక్సెప్ట్ రిపీట్ షేర్ చేస్తాను. Honorable Justice Bhattacharya ji, Chair of the today's panel discussion, Bhupati sir, Madam Remarajeshwar garu, Justice of High Court, other dignitaries, all stakeholders assembled today. Actually, I am going to deal on subject of comparison of POCSO, JJ, then BNSS, etc. Before I just wanted to, before I go to my slides, I wanted to emphasize the importance of the POCSO, importance of the JJ, the almost decade plus old act, the crime committed against the children, and the comparison, then study conducted to analyze the crime against the children, it was very, this thing, 30% children below are the, 30% are the children in India, 96% children, the crime committed were the known persons against the children, 96% children are girl child, and 25% are crime committed are the sexual assault cases, 18% are sexual harassment cases, and 56% cases are the age of the accused when compared was age between 21 to 30 years, and in 36% case only the scientific evidence was used. In the morning session, Honorable Justice has been emphasized on the scientific evidence, and also there are 56% cases where the offences committed in the POCSO are penetrative and aggravated penetrative sexual assaults. So other problems just now Bhupati sir has emphasized on the age determinations. Madam Bhattacharya Madam also brought out latest technologies on the age determination and all. But the issue is when the age, in the age determination, when the people are, children are focused for the radiation, there is also a problem of this thing. So I now focus on the issues which I have given topic. Before commencing, I always quote this statement of our Justice Madan B. Lokur, who is pioneer in the child protection. A child victim is not a statistical number. We are talking of a life that is going to be there for many years. We all, the stakeholders, which we are aware of that. This is because it's a big mandate why we are here. We have the constitutional mandate, we have ratified the UN Convention on the Child Rights, Article 415, 16, 23 and 39 emphasizes on the child protection and child laws. This a small comparison I made between the laws. The definition was given in the definition law. In juvenile justice it is below 18 years, under 2, section 2 and 12. Then in POCSO also it is 18 years under section 2D. Child means any person below the age of 18 years. And it's a gender neutral law, we all know. In Bharatiya Nyaya child means any person below the age of 18 years. And key protections provided under the laws. In juvenile justice, the rehabilitation was the important aspects. Care, adoption, trial by the juvenile justice boards, and the importance of the child welfare committees, child welfare police officers, then probation officers, district child protection units, the special juvenile police units established under section 107 of the Juvenile Justice Act, the composition of the SJPU, and under POCSO similar provisions are set up as there. That is, child welfare committee is one of the key areas where the child of the sexual abuse has to produce before the CWC. And SJPU has a pivotal role because under section 19 it is the duty of the SJPU or the local police to report the offence of the sexual abuse. The District Legal Services Authority is also an important organization because the compensation, distribution and other aspects to be taken care. The shelter is another important aspect where the victims of sexual abuse have to be produced in the shelter homes or the CCI units. Then rehabilitation, many of the sexual abuse victims in our experience, we have seen that many of the children who are sexually abused are losing their education. So such people have to be provided the rehabilitation for their further education, and in some cases children who are working are also losing their jobs. So for such people we have to provide the rehabilitation processes. Then MPTs was one of the important and major challenges in today POCSO cases because we have the time as per the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act for only 24 weeks. In recent judgment, one of the cases, the Honorable Supreme Court has remanded back the Honorable High Court of Mumbai, wherein a delay has been caused in conducting medical examination, whereby the parents have changed their version and they wanted to keep the pregnancy without the termination. So another important aspects on POCSO is there in the provisions is that support persons. Thanks to the Women Safety Wing for providing the Bharosa centers where the support services persons have been provided, which was mandated under Rule 4 of the POCSO rules. Then we have interpreter, translators, experts, special educators. All these services need to be utilized either by the police when interacting with the children or the special judge when conducting trial. Then we have offences against children and punishments are also there. So offences under Juvenile Justice Act are punishment for cruelty, unemployment, begging, intoxication, liquor, drugs, vending, peddling, sale of children, corporal punishments like that, kidnapping, etc., which were marked in the Act, we mentioned in the Act from 74 to 89. And in the POCSO Act, before the POCSO Act, we do not have the definitions for sexual assault, sexual harassment, pornography. These sections were brought in as per the POCSO Act. So, and also penetrative sexual assault, aggravated penetrative assaults. All these sections will deal for the victims. Say the punishment is ranging from 3 years to the life, that is remainder of natural life, and also in some cases it is death also. In one of the cases where I was in the field as Additional SP Sangareddy District, we requested to the Honorable High Court for a speedy trial in one of the victims of 6 years old. She was raped and brutally killed. In that case, the Honorable Special Judge of Sangareddy has given judgment within a span of 6 months, and in that case the offender was given punishment of death penalty and also compensation for about 10 lakhs rupees to the next kith of the victim. Though incorporated the POXO provisions only, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, we have the 63, 65, 64, like that. And in Bharatiya Nyaya Suraksha Sanhita, we have to safeguard the procedural, trial and examination of the witnesses. When we are examining the witnesses under 180 BNSS and also under 183 BNSS by honorable magistrates, the care should be taken while interacting with the children. The sensitivity has to be involved when interacting with the children. Trial of the juvenile offenders. In juvenile justice boards to conduct the trial as per section 4 of the juvenile justice board. Child friendly court setup is already there. The preliminary assessment into heinous offences is one of the important area where many of our juvenile justice officers or the police officers, they are not utilizing this opportunity in producing the matter before the JJB to escalate the matter to the children court. Then in POXO also we have special court orders are there. Special courts are established, special courts are in place, and judgments have been rendered as per timely. The beauty of the POXO Act, as per my knowledge, is completely it's a procedural law. Completely it is saying you have to do this. Completely saying you have to give this compensation. Completely, directing us, you do this punishment and like that. So in Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, trial as per the seriousness of the children. Here the heinous offence, that is between 16 and 18 age, this was added in the section 15 was added in our Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act 2012, owing to the recommendations of the Justice Verma Commission after the incident of that Nirbhaya incident. So guidelines are there under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Naya Suraksha Sanhita. The trial, in camera trials, fast tracking of courts, etc. has to be made done. So police involvement is very, very important under all these acts. Especially he is the first responder, and his ability to extract the truth is very important. So we have the setup of juvenile justice, special juvenile police units. Child welfare police officers are also placed in each police station as per GOMS number 25. And special juvenile police units also established in each district, headed by Additional Deputy Commissioner of Police, to deal with the children of sexual abuse and also the juvenile child in conflict with law. There is, we all know this important aspect of this mandatory reporting provision under Juvenile Justice Act as per section 19, and anybody who come across any incident of such nature of having offence against the child must be reported to the local police, that is special juvenile police units. Otherwise, it's a punishable offence under the same law. And one of the, when I am interacting with the CWCs of in a session, one of the CWCs has informed me that despite of several complaints, in one of the district the case was not registered. Immediately I talked to that concerned officer, then the FIR was registered. Here all the stakeholders is very imperative, especially doctors who doesn't report the matter. In MPT cases, they just do the MPTC and then leave the victim. So this is an offence, and then all the person who got the knowledge will be punished. Then police to follow in the juvenile POXO Act, statement recorded to be child sensitive, as I told you, and in the language spoken by the child. Consent and reporting is mandatory. Reporting is there under POXO. And protective custody and observations, in all juvenile justice cases, the observation homes, place of safety for juveniles to be provided, and special homes. These homes are run by the government, and in some cases it is by the NGOs. So victim has to be, even the juvenile person in child in conflict with law is also to be treated as a most important person. Victims kept safety during trial if needed. During the trial, if the victim of POXO faces any fear of this thing, then she can be conducted in the, kept in the shelter homes. Then victim compensations has been provided. Justice Madam has been emphasized on this as per our 357 ACRPC with the provisions, and the NALSA fund is there, special, then also SALSA. Then DLSA is responsible for the disbursement of the fund. compensation fund is available, state victim compensation fund is available, and then BNSS mandates victim-centric files allow compensation claims. Compensation in one of the judgment, Bijoy versus West Bengal court, the court has also emphasized to give more compensation other than the regular required compensation, since the state has the responsibility to protect the children and failed in its activity. So in-camera trials, most specified, mandatory in-camera trials are there. Mandatory in-camera trials to be conducted, which is already in place. So especially establishment of our court in Hyderabad city is one of the greatest court for the child specific this thing. Then speedy trials, juvenile justice board to conduct a trial in 4 months, but child friendly and fast track courts as per the juvenile POCSO Act, the judgment shall be completed after taking the cognizance in 1 year. So time bound investigation for the police officer in 60 days, and this is also being seriously monitored by all the child sexual abuse cases and also rape cases by the Government of India Ministry of Home Affairs. So non-disclosure is one of the important provisions available under the Juvenile Justice Act for 74 and also section 23 of the POCSO Act. Then disclosure also is an offence under BNS 72. Presumption clause is there. This section presumption clause, that is age, has been much talked on this by Sir Bhupati sir. There is abatement clause under POCSO. Whoever abates, then the punishment is there under 17. The presumption is very, very important clause. This the accused has to prove his guilt. Then public awareness is one of the important arena in which all stakeholders have the responsibility to conduct public awareness about the POCSO Act and JJ Act and the offences committed. In this aspect, the Bharosa centers are doing a lot of work by analyzing the hotspot analysis and then conducting awareness campaigns. This is some just words that we have to conduct copies to the victims. No face-to-face meeting of the child accused, and no to keep the children in the police station beyond sunrise and sunset. No publishing of material. Safe corners. In recent times, we have opened many safe corners in the police stations for dealing with the POCSO as well as the juvenile cases. There is beautiful institutional mechanism as established to provisions have been provided in Telangana. One is that Bharosa, you all know that Bharosa officers are also is there. A single window system, support primarily towards quest for justice delivery and rehabilitation. It's a 24 hours running organization, and video conferencing facility is also there. In some of the cases, honorable magistrates have conducted video conferences. Recording 161 statements by the police officer. In all Bharosa Center, one sub-inspector of police has been provided. One of its kind child-friendly court was established in Hyderabad city. It's a paperless center administered by the Bharosa Society, headed by the Women Safety Wing Additional DGP Madam. And child rape and child sexual abuse cases have been taken. Initially, it was opened in 2006 with one center, but in 2021 it was started in a massive way. By now, we have created about 29 centers across the Telangana state, each district having one Bharosa center, and in tri-commissioners we are going to have 2-3 centers in each district. Thereby we are going up to 35 centers. Immediately, as soon as the victim comes to the police station, she will be immediately sent with a requisition to the Bharosa Society, where the Bharosa people will go, and then victim will be examined by the psychological person, who is psychologist is already recruited there, and she will examine the victim, and thereafter, after talking to her, after conducting an interview, then she will put to before the police officer for recording the statement under 24 of the POCSO Act. And then medical examination also conducted in Hyderabad city. We have the facility. In some other district center we do not have, and that if that facility has been provided, the long waiting of the victim at the hospital will be avoided. Then we have the legal facilities. The legal support person is provided for handling the victim and their legal rights, and also accompanying the victim for recording 164 statement at the court, magistrate court. Rehabilitation rehabilitation has been provided. Shelter is being provided by producing before the CWC. We will outreach to generate awareness. And the beauty of the Bharosa Society and Bharosa Center is we have provided the victim compensation fund about ₹1 lakh in the each Bharosa Center to meet the immediate medical expenses of the victims of the sexual abuse. And this is a feather in our cap that the Honorable Supreme Court in Nipul Saxena versus Union of India has categorically stated to provide one-stop centers, and one such center which has already been set up is Hyderabad Bharosa. This can be used as a model for another one-stop centers in the country. So we have also provided the institutional mechanism provisions is child-friendly corners have been created. 10 centers have been created in Sangareddy and already in operational. With the help of UNICEF, we have taken the assistance from the UNICEF also in providing these centers, where the victims of juvenile children or child in conflict with will be provided, and also we are using these centers for the victims of sexual abuse. Infrastructure in place. These are the places we have already created. This is a reserve open. This is the creation of our juvenile justice, special juvenile police units. Pre-protection rules also we are following for the children under Rule 16 of the JJ Act. No FIR shall be registered like that. And forwarded the nature, the probation officer facilities are being used in the cases. And these are all the prohibited. Production of the child is to be in conflict with the law before the board. No handcuff for the children and not used or coercive forces. Inform the charge made against the children to the parents and guardians. Not to compel the child to confess his guilt. Like parents, guardian may be present during the interview of the children. No feeling of custodial interrogation. Not to ask the child to sign. CWP shall be in plain clothes, which we are ensuring. And general principles is one of the important area we are focusing. The diversional alternative principle we are implementing in Hyderabad through she teams, where the victims of children in conflict with law who are caught by the she teams are being diverted at the police station itself by taking an undertaking from them and conducting counseling. Then principal assessment is one of the important areas where principal magistrate will conduct the Juvenile Justice Board for the conducting trial of the accused of 16 and 18 years age. This is wage verification, sir, as Ali categorically treated. Sir, here we are facing and we need your intervention here. The most of the police cases, when we see the FIRs, only the bona fide certificate are being submitted with the charge sheet. Bona fide certificate is not a valid certificate. So I think we need some good insight on this, because many of the problem we are being facing on ground is that many of the victims are illiterate. They do not have the birth certificate.
For that also there is an answer by the Supreme Court.
Yes, yes.
TC is also not accepted.
That TC is also not accepted. Study certificate is also not accepted. Only the matriculation certificate accepted. Board certificate.
Those mentioned.
Matriculation and board certificates, sir, and also municipality and corporation and panchayats. The problem we are being facing is that the children are illiterate. They do not have the date of birth. Only we have the evidence is that Aadhaar card, which is not admissible. And the last availability is that bone ossification test. In many of the cases, it is going in favor of the accused, because the doctor is giving the his opinion between 17 to 18 years, and sometimes or 16 to 18 years, and in sometimes it is 16 to like that. So that is also the problem. And also here in bone ossification test, since we have to expose the children for the radiation, this thing, that is also posing danger to their
so also driving license,
yes,
and Aadhaar card also not accepted.
Not accepted, yes, that's what, sir. So this is actually for the consumption of our police officer. I have specifically made this slide. Then in this recent Honorable Supreme Court judgment again reiterated that in the form of school register was not sufficient to arrive at the conclusion that the past figures were less than 16 years. So invariably we need to have a date of birth certificate and SSC certificates. Otherwise, we have the only method is bone ossification test. So in this thing also, we have a lot of stakeholders are important in this convergence for converging all the laws. So these are the police are to record the statements under 24 of the POCSO Act. in plain clothes, the police officer, and language to be used, the same language spoken by the children, the medical examination to be conducted, the frequent wakes to be given to the child. So police officers should read out loudly to the victim and then record. The child dignity have to be protected like that. And then magistrate has to record the statement within 24 hours as emphasized in the Tarkar Shivana versus Karnataka state, which is not happening, sir. The statement have to be, this is one of important ideas which I wanted to emphasize. Then medical examination is another problem. This is also not happening in 24 hours. The victims are being, in queue. So the medical, actual law, it is called as a medical legal emergency as per the POCSO 27 Act and also in the 164 of 184 of BNSS. So compensation. These now we have trained all the SHOs in the states, sir, through our honorable DGP, sir. We have providing now the Form A format under POCSO rules to the victims, giving entitlement of this thing, and also preliminary assessment to report. So this is the Child Welfare Committee. In three circumstances, we are producing the victim before the Child Welfare Committee when the accused and the victim are in the same household, because we have the most of the cases pertaining to this case. So 94% cases are on this nature. Child is living in child care institution, and when the child is without any care. So support services we are providing. Appointment of support person is there. Then child friendly procedures of all judges, they know this. This is an important aspect, sir. We all converged today to make the child an important aspect, make the child to be free, and make the child to not to re-traumatize. All the stakeholders to converge, and there are important judgments which are there. And finally, I request, let us protect the child rights and the best interest of the child. Thank you so much. One and all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Sri Ashok. And I will not say anything because we are already 25 minutes behind our schedule. And just 1 minute. And we have another session. Justice Vijay Sen is waiting for his session. So I will not take my 10 minutes. Just wanted to thank my panelists for raising very important issues. To Mr. Bhupati for showing us the decision citations, to Ms. Rajeshwari educating us about so many different concepts, cyber crimes, child sexual abuse material. Interesting that from child pornography now we use that expression, child sexual abuse material, and because it shows that there's a shift somewhere in our thinking, that pornography, child pornography is not for our entertainment, but if we actually indulge in it, then we are liable for an offense. And to Sri Ashok for giving us a total overview of what the laws are and where to go in case you have a problem. So thank you very much, and but most of all to all of you, all my colleagues, my esteemed colleagues, my friends, Ms. Ramachandran, everyone, Mr. George, everyone in the audience I know. Thank you very much for being with us, and all the best for the next session. I'm sure that will be an equally great success. Thank you.
Thank you, Milad, and other honorable resource persons on the dais for such inspiring and thought-provoking deliberations by focusing on important provisions relating to child in POCSO Act cases along with other laws. We would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude to Her Lordship and other honored resource persons for their generosity and kindness in gracing this occasion by felicitating them. For this, sir,
just 1 minute, sir. Just 1 minute. With the kind permission, Chair, I want to tell one important judgment because what is happening is the Supreme Court frowned the practice of using the word child pornography in judgments, but still judges are using the word child pornography. Recent judgment that we should keep it in mind. They frowned it. Recent judgment, Just Rights for Children, Aliens and Others versus S. Harish and others. 2024 SEC Online, Supreme Court page 2611 is its citation. Please note down. Supreme Court frowned it. They asked the courts to use the word CSEAM, C-S-E-A-M, CSEAM, child sexual exploitation and abuse of material. They gave such direction to the union government also. Press is correctly using. Recently I read some articles in Hindu and Times of India. They used the word CSEAM. They did not use the word child pornography. But we are using please see judgment, paragraph 260, Roman 1, Roman 2. Please kindly see. Paragraph 260, Roman 1, Roman 2. There is a wonderful judgment of Justice J.B. Pardiwala and Justice Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. Wonderful judgment. They frown the practice. The government may not follow, but we have to follow. Please kindly note this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, now I humbly request Honorable Srimati Justice E. Tirumala Devi, Madam, Judge High Court for the State of Telangana, to kindly present a memento to her Lordship. Honorable Mrs. Justice Maushami Bhattacharya, Judge High Court for the State of Telangana and Chairperson of the Committee to monitor the cases filed under POCSO Act. Now I humbly request Honorable Sri M.V. Ramesh Sir, Principal District and Session Judge, Asifabad, to kindly present a memento to Honorable Sri C.H.K. Bhupati, Principal District and Session Judge, retired. Thank you, sir. Now I humbly request Dr. Chetana, IPS, Women Safety Wing, to kindly present a memento to Ms. Rema Rajeshwari, IPS, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Women Safety Wing, Telangana. Now I humbly request Sri Akeshwar Rao, Joint Director, Women Development and Child Welfare, to kindly present a memento to Sri Pagadal Ashok, Additional Deputy Commissioner of Police, North Zone, Hyderabad. Now I seek the permission of the Honorable Chair to declare the session closed. Now it is time for tea break, and all are requested to reassemble for the next session at within 10 minutes. In the lawn, tea is available, sir, for participants.